Roxanne here. So, I wanted to talk for a minute about my experience with deep twilight sedation. I didn't do a lot of research beforehand. I just pretty much made a couple appointments with some surgeons that had some good reviews, and then I booked 2 different appointments because they charge you for those consultations. So I just did 2. And the first surgeon I met with did general sedation. And then the second one, the one I ended up choosing, I didn't know that much about sedation to know what I was looking for, but after I kind of had come close to committing or knew I loved the surgeon, I loved him, I saw that he didn't do general sedation. So there would be no tube down my throat, there would be nobody breathing for me, I'd be breathing on my own. And they used twilight sedation. So I was like, what's that? Was trying to do research on it, and came across a lot of, I went on something called realself.com and posted the question about doing twilight sedation for the procedures I was having, which was the lift, the implants, and the tummy tuck. And if there were 20 answers from surgeons, I would say 16 out of the 20, 15 out of the 20 said that is not a good idea, that they would never do those procedures under twilight sedation, that general is the only way to go for patient comfort. So I started to get a little worried. I'm like, what do you mean patient comfort? Like, I'm going to be feeling stuff? Am I going to be in pain? And what do you mean? But it was assured by my surgeon that, this twilight sedation is a great way to go. And that, yes, I would be out. No, I would not feel a thing. Yes, it has benefits over general anesthesia. And that everything would be fine. So I want to report that. In fact, everything was fine. It was great. I would definitely do it again. I never had to have a tube down my throat. No sore throat. No risk of chipped teeth. No panicking when I woke up from anesthesia. I did have some nausea for the first 24 hours. That was seriously the worst part for me, was just having this nausea after surgery and a little bit of vertigo. But I was under for almost 8 hours. But let me tell you how it went. My twilight anesthesia experience. So I went in. I had the doctor did all the markings. I got all ready to go into surgery, nice and early, 6:30 in the morning. And then the anesthesiologist, who I hadn't had the chance to talk to yet, had come in. And he was a great guy, really nice guy. As it turns out, he lives about 3 minutes from me. We know some of the same people. So he was like, oh, I better do a good job. I'm like, yes, you better. But he just explained to me, what he would be doing. And I asked the question, because I wasn't in a hospital. I was in a surgery, private board certified plastic surgeon's office. And they had a really nice surgery suite there, but it wasn't attached to a hospital or anything. So I said, if somehow I stopped breathing in surgery, are you prepared for that? He goes, oh, absolutely. I have everything that we could need for any situation. I'll be sitting there monitoring you. I'll be right by your head, watching you the whole time and monitoring you. And he really just worked to put me at ease. So I felt really good about that. And he told me that, so then he got my little IV in my hand, and I wasn't in the surgery room yet. We were just sitting in a little office. And he goes, okay, well, so first what I'm going to give you is something to just kind of relax you, take the edge off. So I'm assuming it's maybe the equivalent of like Xanax being shot into my hand or something, And I said, okay. And then he goes, and then once we get in there, I'm going to give you a second something that kind of gives like an amnesia type effect. He said, you may feel a little bit drunk or a little just woo, but just really relaxed. And he said that's just to kind of calm me, additionally get me to that kind of second level. And then the last thing he would be giving me once I'm all on the table would be the anesthesia. And so he gave me the first thing in my hand, whatever it was. We'll call it Liquid Xanax. That's not what it was, but let's just call it that. And I didn't really notice a change. I mean, I just felt kind of happy and relaxed, and we were chatting, and then he goes, okay, you ready to go in? I'm like, yeah. And I walked into the operating room, and everybody was really nice in there, and I mean, I really didn't even have that much of a chance to look around, you know, because I was also just a tad nervous. I mean, it was like, oh my gosh, this is happening. Like, I'm about to have surgery, you know, and I've never had surgery before. I mean, I had 5 kids, and I've had my wisdom teeth out. That's it. But he goes, okay, and then they're going to be cleaning you off. And they had me stand in this one area. They're like, we're just going to get you kind of cleaned up. And he goes, okay, Roxanne, I'm going to administer the second, you know, whatever we talked about. And it was a big tube of liquid, and he, you know, attached it to the IV, and he started injecting in, and it felt cold in my hand. And I said, ooh, that feels cold. And I don't even remember finishing the word cold. That's all I remember. And I was standing up, and right before he did that, he goes, someone might want to hold on to her. She might, in case she gets a little bit tipsy. And I know that somebody took my like left arm, and somebody else, you know, so they kind of had me supported, and that feels cold. I have no idea what happened after that. I don't know if I fell down. I don't know if I kept talking. I'm assuming I kept talking and probably just have amnesia from it. Because then I had one flash of, I was already now laying on the operating table, and they were covering me up with like warm, I remember they were like, warm blankets for your arms, nice and relaxed. You know, they were putting something on me, and it was really relaxing, and that was a split-second memory. And then next thing I know, the surgeon was like kind of giving me a hug. He said, okay, someone's real excited to see you. And I could hear my mom in the background like, oh, wait, she does. And I was like, that's it? Like, seriously, like 8 hours of deep twilight sedation. I remember nothing. But apparently, when I was coming out of sedation, I asked my surgeon, because he did a drainless tummy tuck, I said, did you use the progressive tension sutures? It was the first words out of my mouth. He said, I said it so clear with, I stood the little thing over my mouth, did you use the progressive tension sutures? Which he said he's never been asked that before. The nurses didn't even know what that was. I did a lot of research before, like, so might be. That's my experience with twilight sedation, deep twilight sedation. Would definitely recommend it. I would not fear it. You are not going to be laying there awake. Like I worried that I would be drifting in and out. It would feel like I was drifting in and out of consciousness for 8 hours or 6 hours. It was supposed to be a 6-hour surgery. It was almost 8. He said my boobs were a lot of work, and over 100 stitches in each breast, just my breasts. And then I had a no-drain tummy tuck with progressive tension sutures. So maybe I'll talk about that in a separate video, what my thoughts are on that. But that basically lots of stitches in my abdomen as well. So yeah, hopefully this video can help somebody, because I looked and looked and looked, and I really couldn't find anybody who made any sense. I found a couple people, or you start to Google deep twilight sedation, they're like, and searches pop up like, waking up in surgery, I was awake the whole time, 10 horror stories of surgery. It's like, that's not reassuring at all. So I hope my video is reassuring, because I would definitely do it again. I would definitely recommend it. I don't have enough good things to say about it. So anyways, take care.